Welcome to Down the Road with me, Joel Heitkamp, or Down the Road with Joel, as we name this. We got a lot of things we're going to cover today. Dakota Rudisell is going to join us. He's with the Mort School of Law, and he was on the transition team when it came to the intelligence community for the Obama administration back in 2008. He knows things that he can't tell us, but he knows some things he can. So we're going to get a chance to visit with him in a little bit. Of course, some of the big news of the day, North Dakota's numbers when it comes to COVID are nothing but bad. And they've gotten the national attention of the media and all the health officials out there. And it just keeps getting worse. It really does. Let me give you a story that I know that took place over the weekend. There was a friend of mine who his grandmother lives, actually it's grandmother-in-law, lives in the Devil's Lake area. She needed to go to the hospital. Was not about COVID. It was not about COVID. But she needed to go to the hospital, and they took her to Devil's Lake. There was no room at the inn. No room whatsoever at the inn. And because of that, what happens? They put her in a helicopter. Yeah, they put her in a helicopter, and she ends up on her way to Fargo. Think about that. Think about the expense. Think about the anxiety. Think about everything that goes with it. I'm going to share with you some numbers, and actually they're greater today, if I remember right when reading them. But these numbers go back to yesterday. Total active cases just from yesterday, 178. Now, I want to make sure I get this right. 315 people currently hospitalized. 19 individuals from yesterday. There were 6 new deaths. That brings North Dakota, that's before today's numbers now. That brings North Dakota to a number of 840 total deaths since the pandemic began. Now, why does that matter? Well, think about it as a state of roughly 700,000 people. I've been in this state when it was 650,000 people, and now people are estimating that it's around 740,000 people. But think of this. Think of the amount of deaths per capita, and it's going to leave you shaking your head. Here's another way that I describe it. Think of the news that it would make if an airline, if a plane went down in North Dakota, carrying nothing but North Dakotans. People always say, both on my radio show and here, that you're pushing COVID too much. You're over exaggerating. It's not that bad. Okay. 840 people. When I fly, usually there's about 100 people on the plane. Sometimes less, sometimes more. But think about 100 people. That's 800 planes that would have crashed plump full of North Dakotans. Gets your attention, doesn't it? Certainly gets mine when you look at it that way. When you look at some of the counties that leave you shaking your head, Burleigh County, 159. New cases. Cass County, 183. Ward County, and Ward County is one, that's Minot. Ward County is one that has really stuck out, and Ward County, 127. Now, a lot of people are going to look at you and they're going to say, well, wait a second here. The reason those numbers are so high is because we test more. I can tell you, as someone who has had COVID, there was more people tested because I was around more people before I had COVID. That's why more people are being tested. They're being tested because they find out they're in close proximity to someone that's had COVID. And in my particular case, one of those individuals did test positive for COVID. So it's real. I've got an uncle in the hospital right now spitting up blood. He can't hardly breathe. He's been on a ventilator. And this uncle was not someone that was jumping up and down, taking COVID all that serious. But I had a long talk with him over the phone this weekend, and he said, you tell anyone who doesn't think this is serious and being my uncle and knowing him all those years, he said words that I don't want to say right here on Beck TV on Down the Road. But you kind of get the image. You kind of get what's going on. Now, Kelly Krabenhoff, President and CEO of Sanford Health. Kelly Krabenhoff is, I think you could say, a maverick. He's an individual that has lived life to the fullest, for lack of being able to put it a different way. But Kelby Krabenhoff, just like me, had COVID. And because he's had COVID, he sent out an email to his complete staff. Now, we're talking about thousands of people. He sent an email out to his staff saying, look, it would only be symbolism if I wore my mask. And so I'm not going to wear it. Well, I'm wearing my mask and I've had COVID. And it's not just symbolism. It's a way of supporting those that have. And it's a way of recognizing that the science is not complete in the sense that you absolutely positively can't get COVID. I mean, sure, the numbers are better for me. Certainly the numbers are better for me. But that doesn't mean I should go around hugging people and coughing on them. Kelby Kravenhoff undermined and completely discredited all of those workers at Sanford. And it was arrogant. It was really arrogant. So Sanford has been in the national news. It has been. It isn't just here in the upper plains where Sanford is, but they've been all over the national news because of what Kelby Kravenhoff has done. So I want you to, when you think of Sanford, think of something else. I want you to think of those good, kind people that are there on the front lines. I want you to think of those individuals that have done everything they possibly can to keep as many people alive as they can, and also to realize what they're going through. I want to share with you a video that I hope makes you think of Sanford. This is a nurse in Bismarck.
I heard about this baby boy who's come to earth to bring us joy, and I just want to sing this song to you. It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift. With every breath I'm singing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Nobody was paying her to sing, but you know what? She does it pretty well, doesn't she? And that's what healthcare workers are all about. That's what Kelby Kravenhoff needs to understand. It's people like her that are there making a difference every single day. And it's people like her that make individuals like me realize how important those individuals with healthcare are. And so think of her. Think of her when you think of Sanford. I want to talk a little bit about deer season. Did you get yours? Came to a close. I have 3 nephews. Actually, they're great nephews, not to give away my age. But their father grew up around me, just a couple of years younger than me. And so he was the first of the grandchildren in my family from one of my older sisters. So for him to have boys that I consider my nephews instead of my great nephews is fair. It's really fair. But every one of those 3 shot a buck this year. One of them, 2 of them, their first bucks. Every one of them shot a buck this year that's going on the wall. And this isn't just because of nostalgia. This is because those ones need to go on the wall. And man, what a year. I mean, what a year. The pictures, the smiles, everything that goes with it. I got my buck, but mine is not going on the wall. Instead, mine went to Fairmont Lockers. And hopefully they'll get the sausage done before ice fishing season kicks in. It's a holiday for many of us in North Dakota. It's everything you love about the state and why we live here. And so for those individuals watching that were out deer hunting, I hope you got yours. And if you didn't, you still had a great time, didn't you? I want to talk a little bit about whether or not, and we're going to do this later in the show, we're going to ask the question if everyone should have to vote. Should they have to vote? Should it be a requirement? Could you put a little tax incentive in there? I don't know. But should they have to vote? I know this. I know that 1 out of 3 Americans didn't vote. And actually, that number's been worse before. The passion of the Trump-Biden race caused people to turn out in greater numbers. And actually, when you saw the numbers, there was a lot of younger individuals that normally don't vote. They talk about voting a lot. They talk about the passion of it, but they normally don't turn out. But this year they did. But the question is, for me, should it be a national holiday? I mean, should it be? Should it be one of those times that you're sitting there and you're going, oh, wait a minute, this is so important that we as a nation need to hear from every voice. Now, there's a lot of talk about the Electoral College and what's going to happen when it comes to the Electoral College and what the Trump administration is trying to do. On January 20th, we're going to have a president of the United States. And that president's going to be Joe Biden. It's going to be. You know, you have to ask yourself, why won't Donald Trump concede this election? A couple of reasons. Why? Number one, he's not used to losing at life. He really isn't. He's lived a silver spoon kind of a life. You know, whether he paid his bills or not, we can have that debate, but he certainly has been privileged. I don't know how many of you, his old man, gave you $100 million to start out and then had to give you more, but his did. And so he's not used to being told no. And in this election, he got told no. Now, look at the vote numbers. Yeah, you can look state to state, and you can look at all of this and say that state was pretty close. But when you have over 6 million more people vote for one candidate over the other, that's a landslide. That's a landslide. And do you remember Donald Trump telling you that when he beat Hillary Clinton, it was in a landslide? The electoral numbers that are going to happen are going to be the same as what he beat Hillary Clinton by. So the question is, are we 50 some days away from the Republican Party talking about the deficit again? Yes, we are. After they got done spending money like a bunch of drunk sailors, now they're going to start using terms like budget deficit all over again. When we come back, a man named Dakota Rudisell is going to join us, scary smart, from the Mort School of Law at The Ohio State University.
Howdy, folks. It's a Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you'll do for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 Fastest Fiber Provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back. In the line of work I have, you get to meet some people and you get to interview some people, whether it be on radio or right here on down the road on Beck TV. Dakota Rudisell is one of those. He'd be the guy that if you wanted to stay eligible for high school football and you were really close to not being eligible, you'd lean over his shoulder and kind of peek a little bit. He's one of those guys. He's a smart one. He teaches law at the Ohio State University at the Mort School of Law. Let's bring him in. Dakota, good to have you on Down the Road.
Great to be here.
The reason that I wanted to get a chance to visit with you today is because everybody's talking about the transition nationally, and they're talking about, when is Donald Trump or is Donald Trump ever going to concede this race? And you've been involved in a transition. Describe to people what you worked on.
Yeah, so the transition is the period between Election Day and Inauguration Day, normally. And it's a time for the new team to decide who's going to be on the team and to vet them. If they need Senate confirmation, get them confirmed by the Senate, make sure they come in without any conflicts of interest financially or a criminal record. And then the other big thing the transition is doing is getting the new team up to speed on what's going on in the government, and especially intelligence activities, covert operations, things like that. I was fortunate enough to work on the Obama-Biden transition back in 2008 and serve on their intelligence team. And what I just described is exactly what we did. We helped get the new team in place and helped get them up to speed.
How does something like that happen? I mean, I know your background a little bit. I certainly know some of the places that you've worked at. But to have a new administration say, you know what, Dakota, I don't care if it's your family vacation or whatnot. You get on a plane and get here because we need your help. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, that's pretty much how it happened. I mean, so the bottom line was that the people who had become President-elect Obama's top people were people who earlier in their careers were my colleagues. When I was National Security Advisor to Senator Conrad, they worked for the Appropriations Committee. They worked for Tom Daschle from South Dakota. We worked together. And then after Obama won, they wanted an experienced team. And I was just so honored that they reached out to me. As you referenced, I was on vacation with my family in Montana. And it was 2 days after the election, and I got the call, stand by for one of the top people on the president-elect's team, and they said, "Can you be here in 48 hours?"
That's a pretty big phone call to get. Now, could you ever imagine yourself saying no to that? I mean, how would you go about? No, I'm on vacation, and you know what? We're here in Montana, and I just soon not. I mean, how would you ever even say? You have to say yes to that.
I think you do, but I tried to be a good husband, and I went and talked to my wife, and I put it in terms of, sweetheart, should I do this? Not, I'm doing this. And she's a wonderful North Dakota girl, and she was behind me 100%. So we had kind of a commuting marriage for about 2.5, 3 months while I did that.
So she must know by now that if you say the word sweetheart, the gig's up. You're going to definitely, I know that if I say that to my wife, it's like, oh, what does he want now? What is he going to do now? I want to go backwards a little bit if I can, because a lot of people that are viewing this know the name Ken Conrad. And they know what that United States Senator did for us here in the upper Midwest. When they think of Ken Conrad, they think of budget. They think of taxes, because he was a hawk. He was someone that said, we're going to get this budget balanced. And they think of ag policy, those type of things. But I don't think of national security. Is that common? Or is that, for a United States Senator from North Dakota to have an expert on national security on his staff, is that common?
Well, so all of the members, even where they have particular priorities they want to work on, or particular issues that are important to their state, they've got to be able to cover all the issues, because the Congress is going to have votes on all the issues, and the members need to have good advice and be up to speed on them. So they're all going to have people. In Senator Conrad's office, national security was actually one of those issues that we put a lot of focus on for two reasons. One of them was, of course, we have our military bases at Minot and Grand Forks. We have a wonderful National Guard in North Dakota. There's Cavalier Air Station. And in the 1990s and the early 2000s, when I worked for Kent, it was the time of the base closure rounds. And so we worked all the time to support those military bases, working with the community. And so that was kind of one thing that I did helping Kent, was making good, sophisticated arguments for our installations in North Dakota that would be compelling to people at the Pentagon. And then the other reason why national security was very important to Senator Conrad was because he took over the Senate Budget Committee starting in 2001. Just a few months before 9/11, actually. And so then he had me on the Senate Budget Committee staff responsible for the defense budget and the foreign aid budget. And so, the bases and then plus the budget work kept me busy.
So he could trust you. I mean, you could walk in the room and say, look, they're trying to sell us this. We can do it in a cheaper way, because you understood what was going on when it came to national security. I get it. I get it now more than I did prior to you answering that. So the Obama administration, or the president-elect Obama administration, calls you and says, get here. Now, when you were there, I mean, how much can you tell us? Because there has to be some things that you just can't tell us that you went through. I mean, you use the word vetting. Obviously, you're vetting because you need that person. You need to be able to trust them when it comes to certain information. So walk me through that. It'd be fun to be in the room, but you never would have let me in the room.
Well, it's I can speak in general. We had meetings and phone calls. So basically, there were a number of people who the president-elect was thinking about for the top intelligence jobs, which are Director of National Intelligence, called the DNI, and then the CIA director. And so those names came down from Barack Obama and his top team. And then we had people who read everything on the internet about them. We worked with the FBI to do a standard background check on them to make sure they didn't have a criminal background. And then we worked with the Office of Government Ethics to make sure that they didn't have any stocks or any other financial conflicts of interest that would impair their ability to do the job for the American people and not for themselves.
There's more to it. I know there is. Stick around, Dakota, because I want to talk about that more. I want to talk about, obviously you knew more than the people you were checking out to tell the president that this is somebody who can do the job. And so I really want to know that. I'm not looking for all the national secrets. I give you my word. But I do want to talk to you some more. Dakota Rudisell, ladies and gentlemen.
I just went in for a regular mammogram, and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexius and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out, get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
I hung on to him, Dakota Rudisell from the Moritz School of Law at the Ohio State University. He's going to be happy I said it that way. But we were talking about his role in the transition, what he knew, what he didn't know as he made the recommendations to the President-elect Obama. So the information you were going through, Dakota, you know, before the break you were telling us about that vetting process and information that was available. What could you tell that candidate, and what couldn't you?
Well, most of what we did was informed by the work of the FBI. The FBI, as a standard matter, conducts a background check on anybody who's selected for a top role in government, from the cabinet secretaries to the other top people. And the FBI is looking for two things. One of them is, do they have a criminal record? Is there a current criminal indictment pending against them or something like that? And second, what they're looking at is what's called FI, which is foreign intelligence. What that means is the FBI is checking and talking to CIA and NSA and the other agencies to see if there's any reason that this person who's been picked for a top job might be, at worst, an agent of a foreign power, or even just have contacts with foreign intelligence services, or have something in their background that a foreign intelligence service like the Russians, the Chinese, that they might be able to use as blackmail on a top U.S. official. So FBI.
Oh, I'm sorry. So when you look at this, Dakota, are we talking about a list of candidates? Are we talking about a specific candidate, or, you know, do they say, here's 4 of them? You know, tell me everything you can about 4 of them.
So, you know, I don't know exactly how it goes kind of every time, but I can say how it went on our team, which was pretty quickly. President-elect Obama had kind of specific people he wanted for those top 2 intelligence jobs. And those were Admiral Dennis Blair. He's a retired 4-star Navy admiral who'd headed up the U.S. Pacific Command. President-elect Obama wanted him to be Director of National Intelligence, the senior intelligence officer. And then the other name was Leon Panetta, who had been White House Chief of Staff to Bill Clinton, and Obama wanted him to be CIA director. So we had these 2 names, and then the FBI did their investigation. We had a team of people who, again, combed the internet to find every reference to them that we could, and read what those were, anything they'd said, anything they'd written. And then we worked with the Office of Government Ethics on a process to go through their financial holdings and make sure, you know, that they didn't, well, to take a perfect example of this, as we saw on the Trump team, you know, have assets in a foreign country, right, which then a foreign power could leverage in some way, potentially, right, to compromise the judgment of a top U.S. official.
Now, the United States Senate has to approve what the president is recommending, right? I mean, the Senate gets a chance to look at the candidate, and are they looking at your work? Are they looking at the work that you put together before they choose whether or not to vote to confirm that candidacy?
So there are a number of different documents that have to get sent to the Senate committees, but there was certainly a lot of my work was part of that. There are all sorts of disclosures that need to be done. The Senate committees have really, I mean, it's like a 30-page questionnaire. If you want to serve at a cabinet level in the United States government, the committees really put you through your paces. It's all sorts of questions about your professional background, your financial holdings, all sorts of things like that. And then there are dozens and dozens of questions about how this candidate for this top job would work with Congress, the candidate's views on key legal issues, the candidate's views on whatever the senators want to ask about. And so over that 2.5 months that I worked on the transition, we generated a massive amount of paper, and a lot of that went to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, which then held hearings with the president's 2 nominees and approved both of them. And then from the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, then the nominations went to the Senate floor, where they were approved as well. So I was so happy that our team was 2-0 on Senate confirmations. So
how much of their personal life? I mean, do you get into the, boy, he drinks a lot, or he smokes pot, or I mean, how much of their he fools around? I mean, how much of their personal life do you get into?
Well, those things can become issues. Mostly what comes up in the context of these background investigations, and then another process which is pretty similar, which is a security clearance investigation. So they can have top secret clearance with all the access. Those investigations do look at the type of things that you mentioned, and they look at them not because they want to make people's lives hell, but because if you've got somebody who's got a substance abuse problem, or serious mental illness, that means that their judgment might be in question. If they've got a history of violence or otherwise breaking the law, that can be a problem. And again, as I mentioned, when people have things in their backgrounds that are potentially embarrassing to them, that immediately gives a foreign intelligence service like the successor to the KGB, the FSB in Russia, that gives them something where they can then go to this person, and they're very sophisticated. They do it indirectly and just say like, hey, you didn't disclose to the president-elect and the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, that, you had this affair or whatever, but we've got some evidence on that. We can either keep this quiet or, you can do some stuff for us. I mean, that's the nightmare scenario. And so that's why during this vetting process, it does get pretty intrusively into some really, really personal matters. And it happens with some frequency over the years that there are people who, pull out of consideration for these jobs because there's something like that in their background.
So in other words, blackmail is what you're talking about. How far down the line does it get? Are we talking about just the Leon Panettas of the world? Or are we talking about his deputies? I mean, how far down the line does your work need to get?
So on the transition, because the time is so limited, we just have 2.5 months. We only shepherded the top 2 people through. That's really all we had time for, and we worked around the clock and weekends. But this vetting process also occurs for people at kind of the 2nd and 3rd levels, and that's throughout government. So, USDA, trade representative, whatever, that same sort of, criminal background check and the financial disclosures and whatnot, that happens. What's unique about the intelligence world, and that's where, these 2 guys who I was helping were going to serve, and then where I went to serve, the government does really intrusive vetting and analysis for everybody. And I mean, everybody. I mean, the facility that I worked at, we like to joke, it was the most secure Dunkin' Donuts in the world. The CIA famously has a Starbucks, and the baristas have security clearances. Everybody who walks in that door at Langley, has been thoroughly investigated. They've probably been hooked up to a polygraph machine and asked a lot of questions. So when it comes to intelligence, it's a really, really exhaustive vetting process for everybody.
So obviously you've got facts that the Leon Panettas of the world don't have yet. I mean, you've got documents, you've got, sheets of paper that tell you some things that they don't really need or have earned owning yet. What do you do with that? And you say the most secured Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, describe to me what you mean about security.
Yeah. Okay. So on the first one first, like just the paper, right? So when I was helping get the paperwork together for Admiral Blair and for Mr. Panetta, a lot of my work, frankly, was just talking to them, because we had to go back. Basically, we had to go back until when they were 18, everywhere they'd lived, every job they'd had, every school they attended. I mean, everything, and these are guys with lots of gray hair. So, that took a lot of work. I had to talk to them. And they often talked to their wives and said, like, honey, do you remember, where did we live in 1971? And so we put that information together. And then again, the FBI did their investigation of the criminal background and the foreign intelligence links. But yeah, go ahead.
So wasn't Panetta a member before? Wasn't he part of the Clinton team, and now he's joining the Obama team? So did we have to do that all over again?
Yeah, that's right. So he was, so Leon Panetta, of course, I know his background so well because I went through all that. So he's a kid who grew up in California. And then he joined the Army after, I think it was after law school. And he served in the Army for a few years in the 1960s as an intelligence officer. Then he gets elected to Congress, and he represents California in Congress for a few decades. And then Bill Clinton picked him to be first budget director at the White House and then White House chief of staff. And yeah, for those, to be White House chief of staff, you get the president's daily brief on intelligence and everything. So Panetta had been through that whole rigmarole a bunch of times.
So I got a little bit of time left. What did this lead to for you? Obviously, you go in there, you make an impression. What did this mean for you in your life and your career?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate that Admiral Blair, who was by then Director Blair, asked me to come help him out in his office. And so I spent a year inside the intelligence world at a very secure facility called LX2, helping out the Director of National Intelligence. And that was just a wonderful opportunity. And eventually I decided to become a law professor. And now I'm one of, I think there are 6 of us in 250 law schools in America. There's 6 of us with intelligence experience. So it allows me to teach and write about some interesting stuff. Although I can't spill any classified info.
That's what I wanted. I didn't want to hear this stuff got burnt up. Dakota, this was fun. And we'll do it again. Yeah. Trust me, the problem you have is I got your cell number. So we're going to call you again, okay?
Sounds great.
Dakota Rudisell, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to talk about partnerships. We're going to talk about public service. We're going to talk about transition when it comes to how important it is, right after this.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Howdy, folks. It's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hay Bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Welcome back. Obviously, today we're focusing on transition from one administration to another. As I've said very often on this show, on January 20th, there will be a new president of the United States. It's going to be President-elect Joe Biden. And so how those transitions work, what happens, how it goes about is really what we're talking about today. Max Stier, he is president and CEO of the Partnership for Public Service, joins us now. Max, good to have you on Down the Road.
Thank you for inviting me.
I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, the Partnership for Public Service. Tell people what that's all about.
So we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to make the federal government deliver better results for the American people. So you think about it, our government, and this is quite relevant to the transition topic, is the only tool we have for collective action that has the imprimatur of the taxpayer, imprimatur of the public and taxpayer resources behind it to deal with big problems, whether it's the pandemic, the economic crisis, you name it. And our focus is not on the policy choices that government makes, but the operational capability. How do you make the government work better, because that floats all other boats?
So, you know, there's a lot of people out there saying, you know, on one side of the aisle that this is so vital, we need to get it underway. We need to start having these two administrations talking to each other. And then on the other side, there's a lot of people saying, what's the big deal? They can hold off. They can wait. So it begs the question, how important is it that this process start taking place?
The answer is real simple. The answer is it's incredibly important, and it's a big deal. If you think about, again, how complex our government is and what it takes to start it right, you mentioned it at the front end. Come January 20th, there'll be a new president. That's what the Constitution says. And that person is in charge. The second one, they have to be ready to deal with the problems we know about and the problems we don't. And that requires them to have a team in place, and a team that is up to speed and knowledgeable and working well together. That's a very heavy lift. You think about it, we're talking $5 trillion organization, 4 million people when you count the uniformed and reservists in addition to the civil servants, hundreds of operating units, 4,000 political appointees. To get ready for all that requires you to start early and to have real engagement with the outgoing administration. And we know this. The 9/11 Commission told us in stark terms. They said that the reason why, one of the key reasons why President Bush had challenges in responding to 9/11 was because his transition period had been cut short, and he didn't have his full national security team in place when the attacks took place. So this is a big deal. It's about, again, responding effectively to the pandemic, to dealing with the economic issues we have, and to dealing with the unknown unknowns, like what other national security or other problems are around the corner that we need whoever's in charge to be able to handle effectively.
I'm older than you, which means that I've been through more of these. I've seen how presidents from one party to the other have dealt with each other. A perfect example, earlier in this show, we showed how the Bushes from the W administration greeted the Obamas when they came to the White House. In a recent interview on TV to promote his new book, I saw President Obama speaking to how it wasn't the easiest thing he ever did, calling Donald Trump the night of the election and congratulating him, and offering the same type of welcome that George W. Bush offered, knowing how important this is. So, you know, when you look back in history, you mentioned Gore versus George W. It took a while to sort all that out. I get it. But when you look at that, those are clear examples of Republican to Democrat, of Democrat to Republican, where the process worked. This one isn't shaping out like that. It's not shaping out at all like that. So what can Joe Biden, the president-elect, what can he do without the aid of President Trump? What can he do on his own to say, look, I've got to get up to speed here, so I'm just gonna do this.
Right. So no, you got this 100% right. There are lots of examples where, and in fact, there are only examples where it was done right in the modern past. President Bush W did the best handoff to an incoming administration that had ever been done before. He did it because he understood the national security implications of failing to do it well. He knew that we were at war. He knew that he himself had suffered from a shortened transition period. And so he did everything he could to cooperate with the incoming Obama administration. Now, for President-elect Biden, you asked the question, what can he be doing? And I will say he is doing everything that can be done. And it starts with having started really early. In the spring this year, he got going. Ted Kaufman, who knows transition work very well, has been leading that transition planning effort. But right now, he does need the Trump administration to help. There are two big pieces that are at play that the cooperation is vital for. And one of those is access to the agencies themselves. So you think again about the pandemic, the Biden team needs to understand what the agency people are doing, what kind of problems they foresee, what choices are going to have to be made. And they need that real-time information. So what are their workarounds? They can talk to people who have left government recently. They can talk to people, including many who are already on their own team, who have deep knowledge about these issues. But at the end of the day, there is no replacement for understanding what is happening on the inside. And they can't get non-public or classified information. So that's the first bucket. The second is they have 4,000 appointees that they typically make. I want to put a hold there to say we shouldn't have that many. I think we ought to actually change our government so there are fewer political appointees. But be that as it may, the current president appoints 4,000 people. 1,200 of them require Senate confirmation. And all those folks need full field investigations from the FBI. They need to have agreements signed off by the Office of Government Ethics to make sure there are no financial conflicts. So that personnel processing is the second major piece that the Biden team desperately needs to start moving on, because it's a really difficult and slow process. If they don't get going, they're not going to have their team on the field when they're in charge, not in the numbers that they need.
I didn't know it was 1,200. I didn't know that 1,200 needed to be confirmed. I would have never guessed it was that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something worse?
Yeah.
The president that has gotten the most in the first 100 days was President Barack Obama. Of those 1,200 in the first 100 days, i.e. more than the first 3 months, most important period, how many do you think he got in the first 100 days of 1,200?
Boy, less, I would guess.
Yeah, 69.
Oh, really?
And that's the top number. That's the top number. What did President Trump get in? 28.
Oh, man.
You think about this exactly. So one, we need to change the system. It's ridiculous to have that many people Senate confirmed and that many political appointees at all. But within the system, you have to move fast. You have to be prepared. And that means you have to, get your people cleared, both from security clearances and financial reasons. And then the Senate has to cooperate as well. But the front end is all the incoming administration. It's a huge lift. So you just don't want these delays. It means you have gaps, and gaps that hurt us all.
How important, or I shouldn't say how important, but how big of an aid is it to have the Senate be of the same party as the president?
So look, I think it's dangerous turf you're on here right now, because traditionally, even persons of the opposite party understand that a president is entitled, subject to ensuring that they're actually qualified people and entitled to their own picks. And so the reality of this, though, is that the confirmation time has doubled from the time of Ronald Reagan to the present. So this is tough stuff. So the answer is it makes it probably harder, but sometimes even members of your own party can be difficult too.
So you're going to like the fact that I only have 30 seconds for this answer, and it's probably not, or question, it's not going to be probably in your wheelhouse, but what happens if he doesn't go?
He will. He has to. Again, our Constitution means just what you said. There'll be another president, January 20th, and then he's a private citizen. It's one of the great things about our system. And therefore, there's just no choice here. Now, the key thing is we need to build our government back better in ways that enable it to serve the public better. And there's going to be a lot of work to do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Max. Thank you so much. And I think you're right. He will. He's going to have to go. So appreciate getting a chance to visit with you today.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
So what role can leaders play in North Dakota? Should both our United States senators step up and say, you know what, it's time. It's Joe Biden. We need to get him to work in this transition. We'll talk about it right after this.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink for trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
You know, in the absence of true leadership, other leaders have to step up. That's what needs to happen right now. Donald Trump has not accepted the fact that he's not going to be president. of the United States after January 20th. His attorneys are making cases in the public that they're not making in the courtroom. And the reason they're doing that, not doing it in the courtroom, is because they don't want to get disbarred. So in other words, they're lying out in front of landscaping places, well, landscaping businesses, let's put it that way. And so here we sit. We got a president who won't acknowledge the fact that he lost. He's not dealing with the transition. You heard many times on this show today how important that transition is. So how does he realize, or how does he come to realize it's time to go, or you're going to go? And so you got to work with the next one. Other people step up. Other people step up. Look what happened during the Nixon administration. It was Republican leaders that went to a Republican president and said, you know what, as far as this impeachment goes, you don't have our vote. It's time to go. You're going to have to realize you have to go. That's not happening here. I'm going to give you some examples. In my home state, North Dakota, okay, Kevin Cramer took to the airways yesterday. He was the only Republican senator that would, and I give him credit for that. I give him a lot of credit for that. But Kevin Cramer took to the airways, and he basically defended the president's right to make this case. But then he added something. He said, you know, they both should be getting their information still, because he believes that there needs to be a clean transition. I haven't heard John Hoeven say that. I haven't. John Hoeven, our other United States senator, it's time for him to step up. It's time for him to come forth and say, look, Mr. President, you lost. You lost. I know you're from my party. I've supported you. I've voted for you. I voted with you in the United States Senate, but it's time. Elections have consequences, and you know what? You need to realize that, and for the good of the country, we absolutely need you to work with the President-elect Joe Biden. Kelly Armstrong, same thing. Kelly Armstrong is very plain-spoken. I've always liked that about Congressman Armstrong. He has always had a frankness to him. Always had this this way of communicating that he makes his point and he makes it quite clear. He can do the same thing. I mean, one lone congressman from one state with a small population isn't going to wield the big stick that two United States senators wield. It's not going to do that. I get that. But you know what? It's a voice. And it's a voice that national media and a president well know said it. Now, I want to go to Governor Doug Burgum. Governor Burgum has governed in a way where clearly he had the president in mind. In fact, some, myself included, have made an argument that Governor Burgum has wanted to end up in a second Trump administration's cabinet, that he saw that as a big step up. Well, he didn't win. Trump didn't win. And so some of the decisions that Doug Burgum made about, hey, you don't have to wear masks and we don't need to shut things down and you can go to the bars, just use your common sense, have exploded North Dakota into the COVID capital of the United States. And so what better time than now to know that you're not going to work with the man? To know that if you want to be a leader on a national scale, you can put your name out there and say, Mr. President, you need to realize what's going to happen. The governor of Maryland did it. He's a Republican, and it got people's attention. It's been good riding with you, folks.